In December, the city of Chicago was in the grip of two of the biggest news stories in its history. The U.S. Senator from Illinois, Barack Obama, was on his way to the White House after an historic election.
If anybody wants to tape my conversations, go right ahead. Feel free to do it.
Then there was the news that Governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich, was under investigation for allegedly trying to sell Mr. Obama's vacated Senate seat. It was an exciting time for Chicago Tribune editor Jerry Kern.
We were the ones that broke that story, resulting from years of investigative work.
But the Blagojevich arrest on December 8th was almost eclipsed by another story that struck at the heart of the Chicago Tribune and its 3 million readers.
So in that edition, that next morning, you had the story of the Chicago Tribune Company bankruptcy, Chapter 11, and this electrifying investigative story. And it really said two things. One, the business model is not working and needs to be fixed. And secondly, it needs to be fixed so that this kind of reporting can go forward.
In the months following the Tribune Company's bankruptcy, newspapers in Seattle and Denver stopped the presses for good, either to go exclusively online or simply to go away. In March, the other major newspaper in Chicago, the Sun-Times, with 1 million readers daily, announced it was seeking bankruptcy protection. Daily newspaper circulation in the U.S. is down more than 8% this decade. New consumers, meanwhile, are flocking to the Internet. In just 1 year and mid-decade, the number of visitors to newspaper websites increased 9%. Mike Smith, executive director of the Media Management Center at Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism near Chicago, says it is a trend that is likely to continue. Coupled with a recession, he says, only made ownership troubles in the industry worse.
There was a buying frenzy several years ago, and some companies overpaid for newspaper properties, not expecting this economic crisis to have the impact that it did. And so you find a company like the Tribune Company, it's based here in Chicago, underneath this heavy debt that they have to pay off.
But the Chicago Tribune is still printing newspapers, and according to Smith, the newspaper itself is still making money for the Tribune Company.
It's generating revenue, but the issue is that it's not generating enough in this economy to pay down the debt.
Newspaper advertising revenue dropped last year about 17% as more media operations focused their efforts on online content. Owen Youngman is a professor at the Medill School of Journalism. He used to work at the Chicago Tribune and was responsible for taking the paper online in the 1990s.
The challenge for the news industry as it struggles to find a model to be paid is how to take both the unique content that they have and the unique assets in ways that it can be packaged to get paid.
Tribune editor Jerry Kern says his company has found the answer. The Tribune, along with the company's other TV, radio, and internet news operations, are breaking news stories on a new website launched in September called ChicagoBreakingNews.com. The site gets 35 million visitors a year, and traffic reached a peak during the Blagojevich scandal.
It's met a really important need, and that's tell me what's going on right now. I think more of those kinds of channels, those products we're going to develop in the future.
By retooling the newspaper to deliver more content on the web and through mobile devices, Kern thinks the Tribune is well positioned to emerge from bankruptcy and the recession. He's not so sure about other newspapers.
I think if you've put all your eggs in one basket, probably in trouble.
Kane, Farabaugh, VOA News, Chicago, Illinois.